And we are live. Thank you so much, Nyambura, for doing this.
Anytime, love. Anytime, Diana.
Yeah, so
Anytime.
I'm very, very glad the Diversity with Diana podcast is evolving. This is the second season, and you are our very first
Congratulations.
guest.
Congratulations.
Thank you very
Congratulations.
much. Asante sana. So we're going to do this in I think I mentioned 5 parts. First, I will
Mm-hmm.
welcome you, an introduction, and the second is that I'm going to invite you as my guest to introduce yourself in your own words, and then
Mm-hmm.
you are going to give us a history about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
In the governance space, what have you experienced yourself? And then now you tell us why the story of why it's important for the right brain people to be included in governance, and why
Mm-hmm.
are they not being included now, and why must that story be told? And finally, you
Mm-hmm.
will have a chance to give us a parting shot.
Okay.
So, for anyone joining us, Diversity with Diana podcast is a podcast that discusses good governance, tech innovation, and inclusive diversity. In our second season, we're going to focus on having meaningful conversations with people in the industry across the world who love good governance, tech innovation, and inclusive diversity. Now, this week, our very first guest is Nyambura Wa Wanjiku, a multi-potentiality political enthusiast, an art connoisseur who is fascinated by human behavior, organization, and expressions in Kenya. Karibu sana Nyambura. Now take it away and introduce yourself to our audience officially.
Oh, thank you, Diana. My name is Nyambura Wa Wanjiku, as you've heard. Founder of Jitambua Initiative. It's a youth-led organization. Our mission is to give back the women, the youth, their sense of belonging. And our mission as an organization is to we envision a conscious society who's invested in the well-being, their own well-being, and that of the society as a whole. Yes, that's about it. We've been on since 2016 officially. This is our fifth year. It's been quite a path for us, to say the least. It's been quite a path for us. So for us, we use art as a tool of communication. We work with the young people and a lot with the artists. Why the artists? Because for us, we believe that art has a way of communicating, and it has a way of bringing out, um, it has a way of telling the story of the society in a way
Right.
in which an individual understands and sees it. Yeah.
Right. I'm so excited that you've been doing this work for quite some time. It means
Mm-hmm.
that we are going to learn more about what people can do in their own spaces to make an
Mm-hmm.
impact in the society. I think I'd want to hear more about the history. Like, Nyambura, you're a young lady. What inspires you as a person to even want to be in this sector? What made you not think of, oh, me as an artist, I need to go out there and start acting or have my art gallery and do things? But you became sort of like an activist. Tell us that
Mm-hmm.
story. Where was
Wow.
this baby born?
Wow. I think this baby was born in 2011, 2012. So it's a really sad story. I was meant to graduate then. And a lecturer decided on Wednesday, Friday being the graduation, the day of graduation, they decided to release an E, Diana, an E, you know? So as you can tell, I was quite broken at that moment in
Mm,
time because, I mean, I was only 21. Oh God, I give out my age. But I was only 21 at that point, and it was a life goal to graduate at 21. And
mhm.
so how with that happening, what I always say is I was not given the power to read, but I was given the
Right.
power to speak up. Yeah, because I
Mhm.
realized as a young woman, there's a tendency of us being very, very passive on things that really affect us, you know.
Right.
And
Right.
for me, that is where Jitambua was born. Because I mean, I really had to fight for my rights. I really had to fight back because I felt not only for me, but for the women who are going to come after me. And that is how
Right.
Jitambua was born, and that's how I got into this space. Funny enough.
Right. Right.
Mm,
Wow,
yes.
that started like back in school. And so, how many people do you currently work with, including volunteers who've joined the mission? And what are some of like the greatest achievements you feel like you have attained as Jitambue?
Wow. Wow. Let's see. We've worked with a number of young people. I don't have the numbers with me. I'm sorry. We are not really big on numbers. But the biggest story for us has always been holding space for young people as they do whatever they do. I think there's nothing as more gratifying as seeing someone become themselves,
Right,
blossom into who they are supposed to be, and holding space for them to tell their story as it is, as they see it,
right.
as they feel it, as they know it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's actually quite important, and I'm glad that you're doing this in your space. I mean, maybe let me bring this conversation back to like Kenya and Nairobi so that we can actually have people that you can mention in this podcast today who've actually inspired you in some way, inspired you, shaped you, mentored you, or coached you to be the young leader that you are.
Oh my goodness. Um, to be very, very honest, Diana, if I'm
Right.
asked to name people who have mentored me or in some way allowed me to become, is I will mention people I call sisters, the likes of Nerima Wako, the likes of
Mm-hmm.
yourself,
Wow.
Silante. I always look at young people doing things at a very young age. For me, that is my source of inspiration, to be very, very
Oh,
honest.
that's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, yeah.
Really, you don't have anybody that is like not from our age range that has either walked the path with you or even been a mentor that you're inspired by what they do, not that they walk with you as Nyambura, but when you see them in the social settings and you're like, I like that leader. That is someone that I can actually emulate and maybe follow in their footsteps and even follow them on their social media and find out what are they doing today. So what would they do if they were in my position?
Oh my goodness, is there any? I'm sorry, Diana. No, no,
Are you serious?
no.
I mean, so let this be like an authentic conversation. For me, I look at
Uh,
Martha Karua and I'm just amazed by
oh,
her hard work. And it's not to say that she's perfect or everything that she has
mm,
done is like, I believe it's, the right thing to do. But I would tend to imagine that having followed her vision and her career growth and her motivation and her activism,
mm,
I would imagine that
mm,
this lady, when she was, going through the academic system and then getting into the judiciary and becoming a young lawyer, then becoming an
mm,
activist, and just following through her path, becoming a mother, becoming a grandmother, as she has said it.
mm,
I look at her and I'm like, there's something that I could actually pick up from her. And not just something,
yeah.
but quite a lot, because I've interacted with her in a session where she actually applauds young women for standing up to air their voices and amplify their voices. And she would stand up and repeat what they've said and give a word of encouragement. So for me, that's Martha Karua. But come on, we've had 3 female governors in Kenya. You want to tell me in this government,
Uh,
nobody stands out for you?
Imagine, Diana, to be very honest, looking
Right.
at, oh, okay. Maybe if I should mention a lady that I look up to really, really, really is Mabona. What's her first name?
Wow.
I
Millie.
think Millie. Yes, I think that is
Yes,
one woman I
yes,
really, really look up to.
Honorable
Her
Millie.
fierceness,
Yes.
yes, her fierceness, how she's embraced it all, how she knows her space, her worth, how she's not even fearful of whatever is thrown at her. Maybe yes, she will be the person I would say, someone
You
that I
see,
look
there
up
you
to.
go.
And yeah,
There you go. I've had
yeah,
a lot about Honorable Lee, and I think for me, it's like I would need to have to take time and maybe follow her
mm,
path and learn about it.
mm,
Martha Karua, I've mentioned it's because I've been in this civil society space and I've seen her and I've
yeah,
interacted with her. But I'm sure there are
uh-huh,
many more amazing ladies in this space that are doing great work. So
yeah,
let's leave the mentorship and the coaching aside. Just in
yeah,
general, Nyambura, let's have a conversation
okay.
about the position of women in society. And then now we can come to governance
Mm,
and ask the critical question of this session,
mm,
which you
mm,
pose whether there is room for right brain people in governance.
mm, mm.
Yes. What do you think? What do you think about the position of women in leadership and governance, specifically in our context here in Nairobi, Kenya, or Africa?
I get sad when I think about the female leadership in our country. I mean, well, we could say something has been done, but I feel that much needs to be done in terms of um, allowing, embracing young leadership in, you know, small things like the gender affirmative role. I mean, Lord, it's 2021 and they're still talking about it. Nothing is happening, you know, and we're here perambulating about DI. Some things are quite unfortunate. It makes me sad that this narrative that we've all been told, and we're still retelling the story of we have to do twice what a man has to do to get into that space. It's sickening, to say the least, Diana, because I mean, away from our biological, what is different about us? We've all been educated. Look at, we all go to the same universities, the same schools. I mean, what difference comes in when it gets to political spaces? Why are we not honoring the women? And if you look at our society, I'm from the Kikuyu culture, and when I look at the society, because that is a card that is just that men play against women. It's a matriarchal society, to say the least. And so it was a woman who was really in charge of the kingship of the society. And even right now, as we talk about the leadership on that sector, on the mountain area, it's sad, to say the least, Diana. It is very, very sad. Yeah, I think more needs to be done.
You don't see any deliberate effort, maybe from this government or this administration, towards including women in leadership? And do you think it's because of the lack of the implementation or even legislation of the 2/3 gender bill? That is a direct expression from our leaders that they don't believe in women leadership.
Exactly. Yeah, you've said it all. I mean, the fact that it was not implemented, Diana, it says it all. It says it all. It says it all. Because, I mean, why are we here? What are we doing with the new constitution? I mean, we need to rethink our spaces. We need to rethink our politics. We need to rethink how we engage, you know. We need to rethink so much as a community, as a society, as a country, as a people. I think so, Diana. I think so.
Okay, I agree with you. And Nyambura, that's why we're having these platforms, because, you know, we have our own small convenings where we meet and talk passionately about how we want to see changes happening in our country and in our system. But beyond speaking, because then you will create Jitambue, and I want you to actually maybe just tell us about the last campaign that you did as Jitambue. But then I have here Diversity with Diana podcast, and I'm talking. What I realized in season 1 is that talking and making recommendations on the website or online is just not enough. I realized that I have to task myself with the action point of actually joining consortia or joining working groups that are convening with the people who are the decision makers. So we have now to challenge ourselves to say that, yes, it's good to have these digital platforms to discuss these matters, but now how do we actually see the change that we need? Complaining and making noise online, it's a beginning, but why not be the ones again to take it to the next level? You write and submit proposals to the agencies that are responsible for making decisions. So tell us about maybe something that Jitambue has done. I don't know whether you already founded in 2017 during the last elections, but I would be exactly. So be proud, and this is our moment to share what we're doing. After this, we'll say that we had a podcast session. We discussed about this matter, and this is now our action plan going forward as two founders of different initiatives that are amplifying the youth voices and the women voices in society. Yes.
Oh, okay. So I think one of the projects that I really take pride in was democracy as an antidote to a democracy society. And this was a study that we were doing. We were looking at the place of the young person, how the current madness in our society and in our political spaces, you know, how are the young people interacting with it? How has it been for them? what does it mean for a young person to run office. So this project went on, and we started immediately we were founded. It was one of the first projects that we did in 2016. It went through to 2018. So what we did was, even after elections, during the elections, what we did was, when I talk of during the elections, I'm talking about the formation of parties, the releasing of the manifestos, and what is this called, and the actual the electioneering period, and even after. So what we did was we made sure that we attended this the what do they call it, Diana? Is it the release of the political party manifestos?
The political party manifestos unveiling. They unveil
Unveiling.
Yes.
Yes. And then I think for me, that is the point where we lose it as a country, and we lose it as the people of Kenya, because it's just theatrics. When you're on the other end as the what is this called? As a participant and not as an organizer, you get to see the theatrics of it all. And for me, that is where I think our ship begins to sink, because, oh Lord, it's a lot of nothing, it's a lot of theatrics and showdowns that happen that are not quite necessary. So from there, we took it upon ourselves to speak to young women who had given themselves off as alternative leaders in our country. We spoke to a number of them, and not only women, but also young men who had given themselves, both who got into parliament, MCA position, those who went through,
Right.
and those who did not go through. Yeah.
Right.
And the third bit was, even after it all, is realizing that number one, young people do not engage in politics at all. Number two, most of them who were taking part in these things were in politics. They were either being paid to do it. It was not out of their own volition. Thirdly, the space of the women. Oh my goodness, we need to do something. The number of things that I witnessed were it was wrong. The sexual violence against women during, pre, post, and during elections. Something has to be done. The space needs to be favorable to allow the woman to participate. That is why when you asked, Willie Mabona came to mind, because I love how she's embraced her sexuality, but how many women, but it has taken her time to get to that point. So looking back, walking that journey with the women and the youth that had given themselves off as alternative leaders, Diana, it got to me that more needs to be done. We've had the likes of Susan say that we need youth political parties, where we have an old league. To turn it from what has always been the case, where we are always given youth league.
Yes.
As toothless bulldogs. I mean, it's about time that we take up these spaces unapologetically, because this is our space, this is our land. At the end of it all said and done.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I wonder whether the solution to have a full youth political party would suffice, only because let me tell you, I'm a diversity advocate. So I clearly advocate for inclusion of youths and women and people with disabilities or differently abled people. So I'm all about inclusion, which means to me, then, if I say I'm all for exclusively having young people's political party, then that to an extent excludes people that may have experience or that may just be able to bring order. And I speak this from experience of having been in a youth-led organization and seeing the structural weaknesses that such institutions present. I'm also currently working in a foundation that majorly serves young people, especially youth groups, and we see the structural challenges that still exist with having one homogeneous group being there. So that's why I say inclusive diversity benefits us all. I am all for saying youth representation, even up to 70%, but leave room for inclusion of other people that may maybe bring in their experience, bring in their passion, something different from what we may just have as a homogeneous group. What do you think about that?
I agree with what you've said. However, Diana, I think when you talk about the inclusion, I mean the experience bit, I think we'll be using their own card to beat us, because that is what has always been used to beat the young person, especially young people who give themselves off as alternative leaders. Those are some of the questions that are used to bring them down. I mean, what have you done? What are you about? For me, I hear you when you say that there's need for homogeneity, but I also feel that if we, why I always suggest a youth-led, a youthful political party is, can we first have a political party that represents the young person, that the face, not that the face is the young person, but everything about it is young. Currently we talk about what are the current problems facing the young person in our country. Number one, unemployment. Unemployment has led to a space where most young people have marginalized themselves from these conversations, because I mean, if you cannot even fend for yourself, what are you doing telling people what to do? Do you even have the guts? Do you even have the audacity to tell them? So I think, I honestly think there is need for a youth-led, a youthful political party as it is right now. Away from experience, away from, I think passion is enough. Diana, we are both founders of initiatives, as you've said, and we were not born doing it, were we? But we learn on the job. You see, it is something that if you are interested in and if you're passionate about, life has a way of teaching you how to do what you need to do. But that is why for me, I think it's about that time. It's about that time. I think so. For us to be heard, yeah. If we really want to be heard, I think so. Yeah.
Right. I love the passion. To be honest, you're convincing me about this. I'm like, my hesitation is maybe from the experience that I had, where because you belong in a certain homogeneous group, you tend to polarize each other to make decisions that sometimes may lack the bigger vision and the bigger perspective. But I'm not saying that is the case, because like you're rightfully saying, we're young people doing great things. Therefore, we can also call ourselves to order. Maybe the experience that I might have gone through is just one in a million. And let's hope it stays at that.
But I also feel that is a story that has been told by very many young people. I mean, I think we find ourselves in spaces where, because of the homogeneity, the young person is always othered in one way or another. It's always sisi ni viongozi wa kesho. It's never about now. It's never about this point in time. And so with that, we've chosen to minimize ourselves, shrink ourselves to spaces where, I mean, if they're accepting us, that is okay. We can work with that. But I don't think that should be the case as it is.
No. I hear your arguments, and this is why, again, I'm here to have these conversations, just to share that in as much as Diana can have the conversation in private with Nyambura, why not put it on a platform so that other people can actually listen to it, get back to it, make reference to it, and say, I am learning something that it's actually important for me as a young person to step up and be a voice that needs to be heard and needs to be included when certain policies are being passed. Now, let's come to the artistic side of you. Well, I've still seen it. You're still very expressive. But now, I'm saying that currently, as we are, as a society in Kenya, we do not have space for right-brained persons. All we have is people that are looking at money and numbers and all these things, and nobody's being creative. Why do you say that, Nyambura? Why do you say that?
Wow. I think I'll blame it on our systems. We've really since art has always been looked at as something that is done by, it has always been stereotyped. How we talk about art, look at our education system, the 844, The things that were emphasized to us growing up was Ebu, summer, go to school, get your degree, get employed. That has been the story that has been told to us for the longest time. And I think that is why there's lack of appreciation of art in our country. The spaces as they are not very conducive for the young person to thrive artistically. I think so. I think that is where the problem is at. The spaces are not embracive.
How then do we change this narrative, and how do we ensure that the spaces are more inviting, attractive, and inclusive and embracive to young people who are right-brained?
Wow, I think we need to tell a different story. First and foremost, we need to tell a different story from what we were told. We need to show more stories of successive artists who have succeeded. We have to create space and allow more artists more individuals to come out and shine. Because in our country as it is right now, Diana, it's almost impossible to live off art. It is something that it's beyond. It's an extreme sport to be an artist in this country, because nothing, no one supports the artist. Yeah. So I think it's by telling a different story. And also, I don't know about the new curriculum and the new, I don't know about it, I'm sorry, but I think even ingraining it in our system, in our educational system, and encouraging the kids to take it up, and just allowing kids to express themselves differently as they are, because we are all different. We can't all fit into the education sector as it is. Look at us now, with majority of us being at home, being jobless, living off, I don't know, I think there's need for a different story to be told.
I agree with you, and I'm so grateful that you're coming towards the storytelling bit, because then we are going to the fourth part of this conversation to say, why must these stories be told? And they need to be told that we appreciate the arts, we appreciate their role in society. And actually, just like what you've said about the new curriculum in Kenya, I was typing it so that I'm able to also share. It's that the competency-based curriculum is actually a step in the right direction towards us as Kenyans to leverage on our natural abilities as people. Not everybody is inclined to perform excellently when it comes to mathematics or academic performance. Others are gifted singers, others are gifted sportsmen and women, others are gifted artists. And I think if we then tell these stories, and this is what I think our colleague, and I'm going to invite her to one of these shows from Tribeless Youth. You see her using the platform to do the puppets and all these things, mimicking the politicians do, and we look at them and we laugh and it sounds ridiculous, but it's actually what happens in our society. So then that form of art expressing actual things that happen on the ground, the police brutality issues that happened, the gender-based violence issues, the extrajudicial killings. We want to be so prim and proper not to discuss these matters that make us uncomfortable, but we can hide it through art. Hide it maybe, but then again, just expose it through art. So I think it's important to tell the stories. Yes, Nyambura. You want to add some more?
No. Yeah. No. Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear you saying, like you're saying, yes, I agree. Like it's true. But yeah, so it's our chance. And our call to action, Nyambura, this would be now offline. Our call to action is like, where do we move forward beyond talking? Because it's good to talk. It's good to speak. It's good to tweet. In fact, I'm glad that, we are growing from tweeting, having Twitter platforms and tweet chats, to maybe having articles in the newspaper, to then having physical meetings, to joining those convenings, to going to court and getting action that is actually representative of youth inclusion and what is rightfully ours as young people as per our constitution. And so it is a step in the right direction as long as we can have an action to it. Right now, we are having youth serving organizations being invited to join certain consortia just for people to tick a box to say, oh, yeah, we have youth inclusion here. They're ticking
Sadly.
boxes. And so that's where we as young people and youth serving organizations, executives, need to probably come together and say, we need to form our own consortium. We need to be able to mobilize resources and implement programs that actually ensure that young people are represented. And we're not talking about young people in fancy suburbia alone. We're talking about young people in the communities, in formal settlements, outside the major cities, in the counties, who are given a chance to be heard, a chance to participate meaningfully in these processes, and then also be part of the change that we seek to see. So I feel like I've already begun talking about my parting shot, but I don't know what you can add more to this conversation about including the right brain people in governance. Nyambura.
I think, when you look at the right brain, or when you talk about right brain people, I think, if you're supposed to define it, right brain people are known to be very intuitive, very
Yeah.
what is this called? Very creative, and these are aspects that need to be allowed to shine and to come out clearly. And that is why it's very much intertwined with female leadership, because I mean, those that those that subscribe to spiritualism,
Yeah.
they talk of the right brain is quite feminine, and
Mhm.
it, for me, I think first and foremost, we need to stop gagging our
Mhm.
artists. We need
Mhm.
to stop begging to be seen as women.
Mhm.
It is a non-negotiable. It needs to be non-negotiable from this point moving forward. Walking into 2022, walking into this BBI madness that is going on currently in our country. Because,
Mhm.
I mean, if you look at things as they are, what is the place of the young person in all this? Why are
Yeah.
people who have been in government for so long
Right.
telling us what to do now that they're leaving the space? I mean, what have they been doing all this time? Where have they
Mm.
been for us to get to
Right.
the point that we are at right now?
Right.
I think
Right.
for me, I feel that the young person needs to get angry. In as much as Diana, we would love to, as you said, executives of youth serving organizations.
Yeah.
I don't think it will be enough for us, because, well, I understand we have a role to play and everything, but I also there's need for the young person to be angry enough to take up whatever is theirs. I think there is need for us to have conversations, rightful conversation. What do they call it? Literal conversations, in the most colloquial manner possible. Away from this, what is this called? uh, what is prescribed by the
Yeah.
the funders, the these people who pull these
Yes.
strings for us. I think we are the ones who are wearing the shoes first, as women
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
young women of this country and young people of the country. We're the ones who are
Right.
wearing the shoes, and we know where it hurts.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
until we get tired of getting hurt, Diana, we
Right.
will
Right.
remain at the same point forever. We'll
Right.
still be singing
Yeah.
the same song year in, election out. It will always be
Right.
that thing of, I will look at the young leaders who've given themselves as the young leaders who've given themselves out. How do we even
Mhm.
support them? You know,
Right.
it,
Mhm.
something happened some time back when Jaguar, he's Jaguar, the member of parliament of Starehe,
Yes.
when he was
Yes.
expressing himself and he was unable to. And the
Mm.
sad bit for me then was, even we young people were laughing at him. And there was theirs on the other side. These people have been very strategic in dividing and ruling us. And we've allowed
Mm.
them to,
Mm. Mm.
So I
Mm.
think it's time for us to sit down and speak in one voice. We speak
Yeah.
youth, you know,
Right.
we speak
Right.
youth and power, and we go
Right.
for what is ours. Until then, we'll still be used as, as what we're being used currently, and we'll keep on
Right.
complaining. Nothing will change. I think
Right.
so.
And I think these things are interlinked, Nyambura. As I listen to what you're saying, I'm just thinking that possibly most young people lack the autonomy to make their own decisions and best choices, mainly because we are not economically empowered. You've said most of the young people are jobless. So without any means of earning an income, you find yourself being asked to come and join these people. We're going to do a demonstration in front of City Hall. This is being passed and we have not approved of it. So then we are being used as goons to push an agenda that we don't even subscribe to, only because we're going to be given maybe $10 at the end of the day. Sometimes it's even $5. It's not even a lot of money that they're given, but because they don't have jobs and they need something to do. So therefore, our interventions should even go beyond. And this one, I like to think about it as, again, people in this sector that want to inspire the young people to act and agitate them and get angry enough to act. I think we need to be realistic and be cognizant of the fact that maybe some of them or most of them are jobless. And therefore, when you're doing intervention programs that is well intended, you also think about their economic means. You think about their sustainability. If they're supposed to remain anchored in values and pushing for their own agenda, then they must be able to have food on the table. So it means that we need to work together with the private sector so that they can also step in to empower the young people and probably provide funds. We need to work with the international funders, like you have mentioned. I know you have mentioned them, but also ensure that we are not getting lost with our own agenda, that we are our own agenda as we get the funding to do our programs. So this is really good conversations. And my feeling is that I had you mention a bit about feminism, a bit of spirituality here and there. And I think that's a whole conversation for another day. So this could mean that we will say that again.
No, very, very true. I was saying very, very true. I was agreeing with what you're saying. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, I think we're going to definitely talk about feminism and understand it as young people need to understand it, because I think most people, like the Bible says, perish out of lack of knowledge. It is the lack of information, and access to it should be reduced by now, because now we have the accountability mechanism of having, I'm sorry?
No, I'm saying, I keep interrupting you. I'm just agreeing to what you're saying. I'm saying that like, right now, there's no excuse of being ignorant, really, because we have the internet in our pockets,
Right.
There's no excuse. There's no excuse at all. I don't think
I know. Yeah. We really don't have an excuse, but I think this is good conversations. I don't know if you have any final parting shots, but I'm really, really grateful. It's been like 36 minutes of good conversations, going to 37 minutes, and I'm very grateful. I hope people get to watch this. I know I had been asking for your social media pages. Once you're able to establish that, send them to me. I'll link them down in the description box so that people can also be able to follow what you do. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Diana, for what you're doing and having these conversations and bringing people together to have these conversations, because I think it's timely. It's about time. Again, it's about time that we had this conversation as a people, as a community, as individuals, because if we don't, who will on our own behalf, So I applaud you for what you're doing. I celebrate you. Thank you. Keep doing it.
Thank you very much. I'm actually just seeing, we have a comment. There's actually someone who's watched. I didn't know somebody could be online right now. Thank you, Kenneth, for tuning in. And yes, poverty is the tool that is used to control the young people. So he's just making a comment there on YouTube Live. All right. Thank you so much, Nyambura. Have a lovely evening and talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Diana.
Thank you. Bye. Okay, bye.
Bye.